A great shakeup. A great shakeup. I mean, it was one of the worst shakeups I've ever seen in Christianity. And I saw that, I don't know how close we are to it, but I mean, a persecution that if God don't have mercy on us and do something to people in Washington that you voted for and others voted for because of their smooth talk and the things they're doing. I mean, we are only God, only revival. God showed me if we don't break this revival out, if God don't break this revival out. I'm not just talking about a little something here. I'm talking about when we roar through the country, when God, you know, the Lord broke out that revival in '67. Oral Roberts that joined the Methodists and all the big preachers that started revival centers but a lot of people beginning with, you know, fought and still did. But God brought revival. Whether you believe it or not, that Christianity in India alone went from 2.5% to 17.5% out of 1 billion and 250 million people. I mean, when that revival hit India, all them Assembly of Gods and Church of Gods and all, instead of preaching these little old American church sermons, they started preaching Jesus. Started preaching Jesus. It don't make no difference what your title is on your church. When you lift up Jesus and it's coming to your heart, it's going to draw people. All this here good stuff you learn in schools, Jesus didn't send a disciple to school. He didn't send a disciple to them theologian colleges of his day. They had him. Paul was one of them. He was the highest you'd go in. I mean, you know, they had them theologian colleges. God rejected the whole thing. And that's what he's doing right now. He's rejecting all these Bible schools in America and all these theologian colleges across the face of the earth. They got them, you know, they got them in Africa, but they don't teach prayer and fasting. They don't preach the gospel. It's just a bunch of rhetoric. But God's always had a people somewhere. I know there's 1,600 years of darkness. But y'all sit around if you want to. You know, y'all don't believe it, and I know you don't believe it. I know preachers on the platform don't believe it. Some of you women and men out there. But God told me if we don't have revival, we're going to fall into 40 years. If God were to take me off the scene, we're going to 40 years. I don't care if you don't believe that. Ain't nobody going to take my place. Right now, God's got this thing, and that we'd fall into 40 years of darkness. And I don't want that. I prayed today. I went to that grave, that tombstone, looked again today, and I stood there. And I wiped the dust off of it. And I said, Lord, this person here lived 100 years. And I didn't know it. I bet I've looked on 100 graves. I ain't seen nobody else hardly get it past 70, 80 years. Most of them people died in their 40s and the 30s, you know. And I looked, I said, just see if I can find anybody else who lived 100 years. And I was praying that prayer when I walked around that grave. I said, Lord, let me live 100 or 125. I said, let me live to be 100 years old and stand up for this truth if you're going to tarry. And I looked down at that grave. It didn't even have a tombstone on it. In fact, the person just died and still had that little thing the undertakers put down there. Didn't have a tombstone yet. Well, wasn't no tombstone on the thing. And it told when they're born. And I went back there today and got down. There was a little bitty writing. I got down there real close to make sure. And I said, Lord, I know you was talking to me if I can just stand true. You prophet? No, I'm not prophet. I'm going to be 100. I could wake up in the morning dead. You could wake up in the morning dead. It all depends on right now whether it's time for revival. This ain't no, Lord, please. This is a time for us to wake up. It's time to wake up. It's time to get in or get out. Let somebody else get in. We got preachers in churches that know that they won't leave. They're just killing it and killing it and killing it and killing it and won't leave. Well, God ain't going to put up with this stuff. Man, churches, it's a sad thing that churches used to run 40 and 50 and 100, 200, and then they died down to nothing, and preachers won't. And they won't get down to business with God, where God can use them to get the people back. Well, God will knock you in the head. You better pray to God. Man, it ain't about your little tithes and a few little offerings. Man, this ain't got nothing to do with that. It ain't about your living. God didn't raise you up to get a church for a living. Church ain't for your living. Man, that ain't something to bring in a living. God provide if you sit there by Him, but it's not a living. This ain't just to get $1,000 a week or $500 a week. Man, this is about giving you something to live on spiritually, to put God in your life, to help you that you will help the man or woman of God, and doing it out of your love and compassion. Fussing at the people all the time. Or you don't hear me fussing at them. You don't never hear me fussing at people. Man, get a message from God, preachers. Quit fussing at the people. It ain't the people's fault. You that fuss at the people all the time, you need to kick yourself in the butt with both feet. It's you that need to fuss at yourself. Whether you like that or not. God didn't raise us up. He said, feed the sheep. Feed the sheep. Feed the lamb. Give them meat. Give them my flesh. Give them my blood. Tell the sick that by my stripes they're healed. Tell them by my blood they're cleansed. Nothing else is going to heal the sick but by His stripes. Nothing else is going to save the people but by His blood. Ain't nothing else going to bring eternal life to you but by Him raising up the third day. That's the only thing that's going to give life. That's that resurrection. Paul preached we have a spiritual resurrection. We have a spiritual resurrection. God is resurrected in us through Jesus Christ.